Hey, Dustin Tibbetts with Passport to Wall Street, and today we're talking about buying a stock when it's trading in an uncertain way. Surely there has to be a direction eventually on a stock. So if a stock is wiggling around, when do you buy it or when do you short it? And should you try to jump the gun a little bit early? So we're going to go over and take a look at a stock today called DuPont. Very popular Dow stock, and actually it's been doing okay over the past few days, trying to move back towards the highs of this range. But here's the thing, if we look, we always like the 20-period moving average, which is this green line that you see here. We like to see that trending in one way or another. It gives you an idea that the stock, at least for the moment, has a convincing direction. Well, if we go back a few months here, this 20-period moving average is what we call directionless, or about as flat as you can get a 20-period moving average. And so the question becomes, is this a short or is this a long? I mean, maybe you want to buy this stock eventually, but where and what do we do with it? Well, the first thing you can do is look for the most immediate resistance area. In our case, that happens to be the 200-day moving average. So if you were going to take a chance on the upside, you see this strength over the last few days and you think that's going to continue, well, then I would wait until it gets over the 200-day moving average. That's your first shot. Now, that might start something. Here's a couple other things. Because the stock keeps selling off but is unable to make lower lows. See how each low is slightly higher than the next? That's sort of giving you the hint that the sellers are drying up. They've already sold as much as they can, and now the buyers are regaining that upper hand. So if you see something like that, you go, well, that makes sense. I've got a buy point, and I've got some lows here that I can use as a stopping point. Now on the downside, if you think this is going to fade off and eventually trade lower, you got to use those lows right here to get your short position. So again, you're going to look at the most recent support area, which happens to be right here. Why would we use that though? Why is that the moment that we're going to use to decide to short if you wanted to play short on the stock? Well, that's because again, the stock was making higher lows along the way, little by little, just higher and higher lows. Every investor sees the exact same thing, and so anyone who bought the stock is of course using that as their stop price. Anyone that wants to short is saying, okay, if it makes a new low, one could argue a new downtrend may be happening there. And so that's another reason you might want to kind of look at that as your entry point on the way down. Well, that's just a look at an uncertain stock and how you might be able to find a way into it, whether it's long or short. Hopefully the strength continues, you find your way into a long position, and hopefully it makes you a profit. But if it happens to fade off too, now you know where you can look for a potential short position. So hope you enjoyed, hope it makes you profitable, and we'll talk.